Economic Report. It's Brian. Glad to have you here for our Friday session. And of course, we are live. That means we are right from our studio and we're reporting some of the daily stories right here inside of our news cycle. And of course, the first one we are taking a look at is the August 1st trade deadline with many countries, and the most notable of these countries is Canada. Yes, they are our number one trading partner. We are their number one trading partner. So we can stop, take a moment, take a look at what's going down right now we're talking Friday, August 1st, and maybe the changing, we call it a fluid story because it could change and could change rather quickly here in the not too distant future. We can talk a little bit about what the hangups were in this trade deal so far and why the president of the United States just clobbered, and I do mean clobbered Canada with a 35% tariff. That is no joke. So everything coming into the United States is now 35% more if it's from Canada. And I'll remind you, there's a couple caveats here that you want to make sure you're understanding as well. And if I could share one of the caveats would be that, check it out, 75% of these things are already covered under the USMCA agreement. And so we're really roughly talking about the other 25% of the equation that was really the stuff that was being negotiated and negotiated pretty hard. That is my understanding. And so we're talking about probably the higher priced items here. So I want to just share that with you. 35% tariff, though, is no joke. And we can take a look at this in a little bit more detail, and I've got a couple of things here to share with you. So give me a moment here, and I will pull this up, and we will go into a little bit more detail about what else is being discussed with this huge, huge trade deal, or did I say maybe it's a lack of trade deal, right? Very important stuff here to discuss, though, on this channel. So with that, just understand that the big sticking points were steel, specifically aluminum, and of course, the issue of illegal immigration and fentanyl. Of course, Canada swears up and down that these things aren't really a problem. I can't tell you for sure if they are, if they're not. The president, of course, his angle is that this is a significant problem, fentanyl and illegal immigration coming from Canada. I don't see it, but then again, Skylar, welcome to the Economic Report. Glad to have you here. And I hope you're joining me here for a coffee because, once again, these things matter, and they matter very much, not just to the people on Wall Street. And of course, Wall Street is reacting pretty negatively to these tariff deadline. Anything, Theo, welcome. Caroline, welcome here as well. Glad to have you all here at the Economic Report. And I'm sharing this with you because, is there a Jeffrey? Well, there's a Jeffrey there as well. No, it's not Jeffrey at all. It's somebody else. Danielle, welcome. Holy cow. And the gang's all here, evidently. So what's up? And Richard, glad to have you here as well. Welcome to the Economic Report. Thank you for joining me. And of course, we are responding to some of the questions you have about the trade deadline that's been hit, how it's affecting you, how it's affecting markets. And those things are really, really important because they matter to every single one of us. Like if you have a credit card or you go shopping or you purchase anything, make no doubt about it, these tariffs are going to matter very much to you. And what do I say, folks? All I ask you for is a like, a subscribe here, so I can continue to deliver news to your inbox on a daily basis. My name is Brian here at the Economic Report. And so we say the U.S. has the longest demilitarized border inside the planet directly to our north, right? We're talking about Canada, and Canada is a way cool country. I mean, I've been there. Hopefully you've been there as well. Maybe you are from Canada because I have people throughout the Anglosphere right here on this channel. That's where we meet. And of course, Canada really appreciates having the United States to the south, right? There's so many things here that we have in common, a common border, but a common language, a common culture, and some really, really super powerful trade agreements as well. And those things should never, ever be taken for granted. And so, with that, we have big questions to answer now because today, the president said, as of last night, bam, we are being hit with the tariffs. And of course, that 35% increase in tariffs is no joke. And I'm sharing that with you because, once again, it's supposed to hit companies, but sooner or later, make no doubt about it, when there's a tariff, there is a trickle down effect. And at the end of the day, who winds up paying more? Well, it's going to be you. That's just how things are because there's only so much a manufacturer is going to absorb. There's only so much that the retailer will absorb. It's going to be passed on to people just like you and me. And that's the Main Street story of this. Now, of course, you might go back and ask yourself some basic questions like, well, why are we putting on tariffs? Hey, aren't these tariffs supposed to bring jobs back to the United States? Well, I can answer that to an extent. Um, Over the past, I say, 25 years or so, there's been a lot of manufacturing jobs in particular that have left the United States and have gone other places. For instance, take a city like North Canton, Ohio. Yes, North Canton, the home of the Hoover Vacuum Cleaner Company. Now, you might say to yourself, Hoover, I've never heard of it before, but hey, I'm glad you joined me. That is awesome here. Glad to have you here. Once again, make sure you are liked and subscribed. And we are talking about tariffs right now. Inside of North Canton, for instance, there was the Hoover vacuum cleaner, which eventually became Hoover Appliances. And that was the home of that company for about 80 years. It was a company town. Heck, the high school is named after the Hoover company. It's called North Canton Hoover. And so, with that, well, when the USMCA agreement was passed, well, that company was sold to a conglomerate in Texas. Conglomerate in Texas moved manufacturing over the border, and all of a sudden, all of those jobs that existed right here in the United States all of a sudden disappeared. Like North Canton no longer makes Hoovers. North Canton no longer has all the employment associated with the Hoover Company. And of course, all the other ancillary businesses associated with making any kind of appliances, from metal to screws to plastic pieces, you get the picture. Those jobs gone. And that's what we talk about, jobs leaving the United States. That's their classic example, but you don't need to go there. You can go to Detroit, you can go to Cleveland, you can go down to Akron, you can go to Columbus. Manufacturing throughout the Midwest and the United States has been devastated through some of these trade agreements. So what the president is trying to do is rebuild the manufacturing infrastructure here inside the United States. And many of us would maybe not always agree with some of the tactics, and maybe you definitely do not disagree with some of the rhetoric that's involved. But I'm here to say that these things are designed to help make America a better place for families, a better place for workers, a better place for business. And of course, with these tariffs have come some really, really large, super large investments inside of the United States. And we're talking about investments from Japan, over like $500 million, South Korea, $350 million. And so we're seeing more and more monies pull into the United States. And now the question is, well, what's going on with Canada? What's going on with Mexico? Mexico seems quite interested in working out an agreement because Mexico can really, really get whacked in this trade arrangement. Since a lot of the manufacturing had moved to Mexico, uh, and there was a free trade agreement with Mexico. Well, a lot of those parts are coming over to the United States, made with cheap labor and used to make cars, etc. And that really is a big issue. And I'm sharing this with you because, well, those are your jobs. Those are your parents' jobs. Those are your grandparents' jobs. Those are the things that help make the economy work here inside of the United States. And when you have a gutting of the middle class and middle class jobs, it's not just the factory worker. It's actually a larger group of people. And so I share that with you because it's really, really important to see the big picture here. And whether you are a Trump fan or not, I will say that you got to pay close attention to maybe some of the bigger stories here. Well, I can tell you right now that I do not think the markets are liking the tariff disruptions right now. It's not responding really well. Today on Friday morning, if you take a look at the New York Stock Exchange, maybe the NASDAQ's a little bit more tech heavy, so they might be even taking a breather today after some of the big seven companies have gone ahead and reported their earnings. Microsoft, Apple, to an extent, reported some pretty rock solid things here as well. Dylan, glad to have you here. Welcome to the Economic Report, and I hope you are liked and subscribed to this channel because that matters and matters very much to me, somewhat, but most definitely to the YouTube algorithm. They love when they have people just like you participating and subscribing to this channel. With that, we have a couple of other things going on here that are really worthy of following. And of course, with the tariff announcement, I want to make sure that there was another hiccup in this process here as well. And I want to make sure that we're understanding it, that Canada had kind of gone out on a limb and kind of broken an unspoken rule here in the West with the Western countries. And Canada had gone ahead and recognized the Palestine state, or at least they're contemplating recognizing the Palestine state. In other words, recognizing the fact that there is a Palestinian country out there and that it is on the border of Israel and they must be recognized, and maybe some kind of a normalized relationship between the two countries. Of course, that was in direct conflict with some of the U.S. policies, specifically by Trump. And as a result, that became another sticking point that Trump didn't like. And of course, that's part of it. There's a whole nother story going on here, which is inside the banking system that's worth maybe just taking note of. Specifically, we're talking about the BRICS nations and Brazil, Russia, India, China. Extremely important for a couple of reasons, in part because they're trying to make their own trade arrangements, but also there's been some concerted effort to kind of undermine the US dollar as well. That's trying to come up with some kind of an alternative to the US dollar. And how does Canada figure into the mix? Well, the United States is saying, hey, either you're with us or you're with them. Either you're part of the banking cartel that is out there, and that banking cartel is not good for the US dollar, or you're with the US dollar as the reserve currency. So make no question about it, there's another theme that's being played out in 2025, and it's a story you're going to want to pay attention to. And I do think it's part of the reason why we've seen pretty significant bumps in people's silver holdings, significant moves in gold. And of course, if you follow the crypto market, there's another story there that can be played out as well. And all these things together really is part of the reason why this channel exists. We talk about the things that matter to people like us on Main Street. Of course, you talk about DC politics on one side of the equation. You speak about Wall Street economics on the other. And of course, these things seem to be happening up on this level. But I want to remind you that at the end of the day, it comes down and hits people just like us here on Main Street. And so when we talk about prices and tariffs, at the end of the day, you are the folks that are going to wind up paying for these things. And it's not just here in the United States, it's in Canada. It's throughout the Anglosphere, it's throughout the European Union. And that's part of the reason why we have this channel put together, because we have a tendency to report the things that matter to people just like us. My name is Brian, and I've got a couple moments here. If you have any questions here, or you need to invite other people to this channel to join in on the chat, be my guest here as we're starting to wind things down. Just making sure that we are all here on the same page. I usually run one of these live sessions every single day until I finish my coffee. And once the coffee's gone, it's time to get out with the day and get other things taken care of. So just making sure that we have a little bit of coffee left, which means I have a little bit more conversation left in me to talk about things that matter, and things that matter very much to people just like us here on Main Street. And with that, I did bring one thing down here to you that I did want to share, and that was, all right, coins. I wanted to make sure that we talked coins here, at least for a moment. And it's been a good story here, and maybe I can bring this up to the camera as closely as I can. Maybe I need to hit the light so you can see this a bit better. Because we are talking about, well, a theme we've been covering on this channel has to deal with, well, coins and their value. Here is a silver dollar, and you look at the side of that silver dollar, you'll notice it is just plain silver. And you'll look at the coinage on this, they have the copper nickel clad there in the middle. So how do you differentiate the two? Well, you put these two coins next to each other, and you can definitely tell which one is silver and which one's not. That's for the quick glance. And of course, if you are the person who's actually starting to look at dates on your coinage you're getting back to determine what if you have silver or not, that really is a cool way to check things out. And so I share that with you. And of course, that's part of the stuff we talk about at the Economic Report. They are the little things that matter a lot to people here on Main Street. Once again, my name is Brian. Make sure you are liked and subscribed to this channel so I can continue to deliver this stuff to your inbox on a regular basis. We will have a short out later today and a long form video. And with that, thanks for joining me, folks. And I want to remind you every single day the biggest battle you fight is the one between your ears. Your thoughts, your actions, your attitude, and how you interact with others. Make today special and make today count, and I will catch you next Economic Report. Thank you very much for joining me on this Friday. Have a great day.